Ah, the British royal family. The only place where family drama comes with a press release, a golden carriage, and an entire army of corgis trained in passive aggression. Our story kicks off with the emotional subtlety of a sledgehammer to the crown jewels. Picture it. Prince Harry, sipping organic turmeric tea in Montecito, gets a phone call from the last person he expected, his brother William. Now, normally when William calls Harry, it's either to say, "You embarrassed the family again," or "Please stop giving interviews before breakfast." But this time, it was different. This time it was personal, and not Netflix deal personal. We're talking Dad's dying, and the palace can't find the empathy memo personal. According to Harry, and now the entire planet, William gave him the lowdown on King Charles's health. That's right, Charles, His Royal Majesty, Duke of Droning Speeches, is battling cancer. But in the grand tradition of royal secrecy, Buckingham Palace decided to treat the news like it was the final season of confidential, cryptic, and definitely not to be shared with the American half of the family. You know, the half that's actually interesting. And let's just pause right here. The fact that Harry found out through William is a whole sitcom plot in itself. Like, imagine your estranged brother calling to say, "So, Dad might not have much time left," and your response is, "Wait, you guys still consider me family?" That's not a phone call. That's a trauma flashback wrapped in emotional blackmail, sprinkled with guilt, and served over a cold plate of British passive aggression. Harry, being the only one left with a shred of human emotion, did what any empathetic therapy-practicing California living prince would do. He told the truth, in a BBC interview no less. He said, "I don't want to keep fighting with a father. I don't know how much time he has left." Boom! Mic drop. Royal jaws on the floor. Meanwhile, Charles, sitting in a golden armchair that cost more than Harry's entire Netflix deal, was allegedly displeased. Not because his son was reaching out emotionally, oh no, but because he shared a feeling. A people. You know, that thing royals have been allergic to since 1066. Back at the palace, the reaction was what you'd expect if someone had farted during the Queen's funeral. Total panic, courtiers fainting, corgis weeping into their velvet dog beds. Charles reportedly considered cutting all ties with Harry again. Because if there's one thing King Charles does better than waving from balconies, it's ghosting his children during medical crises. Let's not forget the irony here. Charles has cancer. He's literally fighting for his life, and instead of using this opportunity to heal old wounds, he's mad that Harry told the world he wants to stop fighting. That's like being mad at your fire alarm for alerting you to a fire. "How dare you express concern for my mortality, you emotionally literate peasant?" And William? Oh, William, ever the heir, never the therapist. He tried to play messenger only to get caught in the middle like a royal Uber Eats driver with a side of unresolved resentment. Sources say his decision to inform Harry was fraternal. What they meant was political. Because, let's face it, if Charles kicks the platinum-plated bucket, William's the next in line, and the last thing he needs is Harry showing up at the funeral with Oprah and a tell-all TikTok. In any normal family, this would have been a turning point, a tragic diagnosis bringing people together. But in the House of Windsor, it just means fewer people in the group chat and more leaked quotes from royal insiders who suspiciously sound like Camilla's hairdresser. So now we've got Harry, the black sheep with a conscience, reaching out in love and being punished like he tried to replace the crown jewels with plastic ones from Target. Meanwhile, Charles continues his treatment and his royal sulking, while William walks around Kensington Palace wondering if emotional honesty is contagious. And if you're wondering what Meghan said about all this, oh, you better believe we're saving that for Chapter 2. Let's just say it involves a microphone, a smile, and enough silent fury to melt every crumpet in Britain. Now, you know things are bad when Meghan Markle, Queen of Poise, Duchess of Diplomacy, and spiritual patron saint of side-eye, decides to speak up. Meghan normally operates with the calm grace of a yoga instructor who's also a sniper. Cool, controlled. But she's got you in the crosshairs. But after Harry's BBC interview and the emotional nuke he dropped with "I don't know how much time my father has left," Meghan emerged from the Montecito shadows like a duchess on a mission. Now, let's be clear. Meghan did go full angry podcast mode. Oh no, she's smarter than that. She knows the power of letting her words linger like a spicy jalapeno in the back of the royal throat. She appeared on a panel, casually, effortlessly, and when asked about Harry's remarks, she smiled like she'd just seen Prince Andrew's public approval rating and said, "We just want healing. We've always wanted peace." Translation, "You're the problem, not us." Seriously, nobody weaponizes calm like Meghan. She doesn't raise her voice. She raises your blood pressure. And that's what makes the royals lose their ever-loving minds. Charles heard that line and allegedly went pale, well, paler, and muttered something about Meghan being manipulative, which is rich coming from a man who literally spent decades gaslighting an entire nation about his mistress while dressed like a human commemorative teacup. And William, he's reportedly furious, which is just royal code for "I'm out of ideas and I miss being the cute one." The last time William smiled genuinely was probably when Harry moved to California and the palace Wi-Fi started working better. Let's talk about this palace panic. Buckingham's sources read that one butler with loose lips and a podcast claimed Charles feels betrayed that Harry shared private details about his health. But let's get real. This is the same royal family that once leaked Princess Diana's phone calls faster than you can say Camillagate. Privacy? That ship sailed with the Titanic, and even it got more sympathy than Harry. But here's where it gets delicious. Meghan's "We want peace" line was followed by an entire segment on truth, transparency and emotional safety. Emotional safety? In royal circles, that's more taboo than eating spaghetti without a fork and spoon. I mean, this is the family that views hugging your child as a weakness. You sneeze at Windsor and they send a press release calling you emotionally unstable. The tabloids had a field day. "Meghan attacks the monarchy," screamed headlines, while all she did was show compassion. Meanwhile, Charles is in a palace built on scandals and denial, calling dramatic. That's like the Titanic calling a canoe reckless. Let's be honest, Charles is the human version of printer jam. He's stuck in the past, makes everything worse when you try to fix it, and somehow still thinks he's doing the right thing. Harry is trying to build a bridge, and Charles is out here playing Minecraft with no tutorial. And William? He's just walking around Kensington Palace, acting like he invented duty while Meghan is out here inventing. And still, Harry's getting blamed. For what? For being the only emotionally functioning adult in the entire Windsor WhatsApp group. For saying, "Hey, maybe we should talk to each other," instead of through press leaks and 1990s royal etiquette manuals. Honestly, if Harry had said, "I'm naming my next child Empathy," the royal family would have filed for emotional treason. But back to Meghan, because she's the real scene stealer. She said more in 10 seconds than Charles has said in 10 years that wasn't written by palace lawyers or delivered behind bulletproof glass. She didn't just support Harry, she put the whole monarchy on notice. With one calm, elegant smile, she basically told Charles and William, "You all fumbled the bag, and the son and the grandson, and the Netflix deal." And the best part, she didn't even have to raise her voice, because when you're classy, you let the dysfunction speak for itself. And oh boy, the dysfunction is practically screaming in King's English. Ah yes, Prince William, the future king, the steady hand, the one who looks like he moisturizes with dusty protocol and broken dreams. After Harry's bombshell interview and Meghan's calm but devastating commentary, William did what any emotionally suppressed heir to the throne would do. He tried to reclaim the spotlight, because nothing says like leaking close friend quotes to the... Now apparently William was deeply hurt by Harry's remark about their dad's health. He reportedly felt blindsided, betrayed, and worried the public would view him as cold and out of touch. Buddy, that ship sank and became a Netflix documentary 3 seasons ago. This is the same guy who reportedly didn't want Harry in the family WhatsApp group because he thought emojis were too American. The same man who once said the royals are very much not a racist family, then promptly disappeared like a magic trick made of privilege and awkward silences. But he wants emotional clarity? Sir, pick a lane. William's people have been working overtime to humanize him. He's been photographed in dad jeans, holding coffee cups, and even shocking. But all it took was one heartfelt line from Harry, "I don't know how much time I have with my father." And William suddenly remembered he has a brother. He picks up the phone, makes that call, and reportedly says something along the lines of, "We need to present a united front." Translation? "Stop telling people our dad's sick. You're ruining the optics of my future crown polishing ceremony." Let's pause here. William didn't call Harry when Diana's statue went up. He didn't call when Harry was getting dragged for being a California Buddhist with a therapy subscription. He didn't call when Charles was diagnosed. But he called when Harry spoke the truth on the BBC and got attention. That's not brotherhood. That's PR with a side of guilt-tripping. And let's be real, William trying to play victim is like Charles trying to sell vegan sausages at a Texas barbecue. It just doesn't work. William has spent the last few years trying to brand himself as the relatable royal, and it's giving budget Colin Firth in a crown. He's trying to be the prince of the people, but the people already chose, and they chose Harry. With his therapy, chickens and unapologetic candour. Oh, and let's not forget the irony here. William's upset that Harry made information public, but only because leaked it to in the first place. That's like throwing a water balloon at your neighbour, then suing them for being wet in your front yard. And what does Charles do amidst this? Nothing. He's just over there in his royal chair, looking like a half-melted candle with a crown, wondering when it became trendy for royals to express feelings. This man's idea of fatherly affection is sending you a framed watercolour of a hedge maze. If he had hugged Harry once in the 90s, none of this would be happening. Meanwhile, Harry's over here just trying to be honest. He didn't say anything malicious. He didn't sell a memoir titled "He Just Expressed," something the Windsors treat like a communicable disease. And this is the best part. The British press actually spun William's call as a gesture of unity. Honey, if that was unity, then I'm the next in line for the throne of Narnia. This wasn't about unity. This was about optics, ego, and a royal family that's more emotionally constipated than a Buckingham butler on Bath Day. Let's not pretend William was calling Harry to bond. He was calling to say, stop telling the world we're not a functional family. We have coronations to plan and reputations to salvage. But here's the thing. Reputations can't be saved when your entire family tree is a PR fire hazard. So let's raise a teacup to Harry, the only Windsor brave enough to say what everyone else in the family whispers into their gin at Christmas. Great. Here's of your funny podcast script supporting Prince Harry while dissing King Charles and Prince William. Oh no. Harry said something honest again. Quick, fetch the smelling salts, the corgis, and the royal PR crisis team. Apparently, Harry's about Charles's health has caused lasting damage to the monarchy. You'd think he'd leaked the nuclear codes instead of showing a shred of human emotion. Let's be real. The only thing Harry damaged is the royal family's fantasy that their emotional repression is noble. Spoiler alert, it's not. It's just repression. A stiff upper lip doesn't make you dignified. It just means no one knows when you're having a breakdown. Meanwhile, Harry's out here living his truth, and Buckingham is reacting like he set fire to Windsor Castle using one of Meghan's scented candles. And now, word on the street, or in the gilded halls of the palace, is that the firm is in emotional shambles. I love how they still call themselves that. Like it's a respectable law office and not a centuries-old family feud wrapped in lace and intergenerational trauma. It's like if the Sopranos wore sashes. But wait, enter William, because no royal mess is complete without the balding Batman to Charles's emotionally constipated Alfred. Reports say William is that Harry revealed private information. Sir, your idea of privacy is literally having people sign NDAs just to visit the garden. The man's biggest fear is that someone might catch him being. It's like his hairline, vanishing at the first sign of emotion. Let's get this straight. William shared the news of Charles's cancer treatment with Harry. Harry, being a functioning human being with a heart, said something like, "I don't want to fight with my dad when I don't know how much time he has." And for this, William wanted to be kind, because nothing says love like whispering sweet medical diagnoses and then punishing you if you acknowledge them in public. That's not a brother, that's a gaslighting weather vane in a navy suit. Meanwhile, Charles is supposedly, again, that man is always heartbroken, by Harry, by Meghan, by the parking spot Camilla took. This man's heart breaks more often than William changes facial expressions about once every solar eclipse. Let's be honest, this entire drama is less about Harry talking and more about the palace's pathological need to control the narrative. If it doesn't come through official sources or a well-placed press leak too, it's deemed treason. Harry bypassed their carefully curated pity party and now he's being treated like he wore sweatpants to a state dinner. And don't even get me started on the double standards. When Charles leaked to the press that Harry cried too much as a child, that's fine. When William gave a friend's cousin's dog walker's podcast a royal scoop, all good. But when Harry speaks like a normal person in "Unstable rogue destroys monarchy," it's the hypocrisy Olympics, and Buckingham takes the gold, silver and emotional immaturity medal every single time. Also, let's pause and acknowledge the absurdity of this moment. The palace is upset that Harry expressed sadness about his father's. You know what? That's not scandal, that's what therapists call. But the monarchy isn't built for that. It's built for pretending. Pretending everything is fine. Pretending family members aren't icing each other out over breakfast. Pretending Prince Andrew is still just misunderstood. Harry's real crime isn't talking. His crime is not following the royal playbook trademark. You know the one. Rule #1, smile at cameras. Rule #2, never have feelings. Rule #3, if you absolutely must cry, do it inside your own palace behind 4 velvet curtains and a butler named Geoffrey holding a tissue. But here's the kicker. Harry's moment of honesty with the public. It was real. It was human. And that terrifies Buckingham. Because if people start relating to Harry more than to William with his pressed suits and pressed emotions, what happens to the throne? I'll tell you what happens. Nothing. Because the monarchy will keep trudging along, desperately trying to cosplay relevance, while Harry actually evolves into a functioning adult who hugs his kids and knows what a podcast is. So while Charles drafts royal decrees in calligraphy about how deeply hurt he is, Harry's over in California eating avocados, doing yoga with Meghan, and being free. Free from the invisible chains of palace PR, free from the crown-shaped trauma, free from William's tragic side part. Perfect. Here's of your funny podcast script supporting Prince Harry while dissing King Charles and Prince Asterisk. Now the question on everyone's lips, okay, mostly the lips of royal reporters looking for their next scandal, is, and the answer is, let's be honest, Buckingham Palace isn't Hogwarts. It's Azkaban with better wallpaper. Sure, the ceilings are high and the curtains are heavier than King Charles's conscience, but freedom not included. Harry broke free and the monarchy's still salty because he didn't ask for a hall pass first. William, ever the emotional avocado, hard, green and takes forever to ripen, still thinks vulnerability is some kind of California cult. You can practically hear his internal monologue. He's the kind of guy who gives you a firm handshake at a funeral and considers that an act of compassion. I bet when George stubs his toe, William hands him a schedule for when he's allowed to express pain. You'll cry between 4 o'clock and 4:03 p.m, son, pip pip, and King Charles, please. At this point, he's so out of touch he probably thinks an emoji is a new kind of jam. His idea of connecting with his children is sending them a handwritten note via Falcon. The man still wears cufflinks to brunch, and yes, he's still more focused on controlling the of being a father than actually being one. But here's the kicker. Harry's honesty has become a problem because it highlights how broken the entire royal system is. His very existence, his therapy sessions, his decision to marry a woman he actually is basically a middle finger to centuries of royal dysfunction, and it's glorious. Harry is proof that you can be born into a palace and still choose peace over protocol. He didn't just walk away from the royal family, he sprinted into healing with Meghan, 2 dogs, a Netflix deal and some adorable chicken coops. While Charles is busy trying to rule with one eye on the press and the other on Camilla's side of the bed, Harry's over here building a legacy not of stiff upper lip silence but of compassion, honesty and, yes, revolutionary. Meanwhile, William's version of modernising the monarchy is adding oat milk to the tea tray and grimacing slightly less during photo ops. He's about as in touch as a Nokia 3310, and as for the palace, they're still holding crisis meetings about Harry like he's the Terminator, when all he did was say, "I'd like a relationship with my father before he dies." Imagine being so emotionally stunted that you consider an act of war. Buckingham's idea of damage control is sending Charles to visit a hospital, pretending he suddenly cares about normal people, then leaking it to the press like, "Look, he hugged a child, cancel the ginger." But here's the truth they don't want to admit. Without Harry, the monarchy has no soul. Just gold wallpaper, cold hearts, and a very confused corgi. Harry brings something they don't understand anymore. Humanity. He talks about grief. He talks about love. He talks about his like he's a human being and not just a prop in a family photo. That scares the Windsors more than a hug without gloves. So what's next? Well, Charles will keep pretending he's too regal for reconciliation while quietly reading under his pillow. William will scowl and leak things to the press like a royal sprinkler. And Harry? He'll keep doing what they can't. Telling the truth, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's messy, even if it causes yet another palace tantrum where someone throws a teacup at a butler named Nigel. Because at the end of the day, Harry, every time he chooses love over legacy, truth over tradition, healing over headlines. And as for the monarchy, let's just say if they don't evolve soon, they'll be left waving at an empty crowd while Harry builds an empire of authenticity, with Meghan by his side, dogs at his feet, and a latte in hand. Long live the spare, because the rest of them, they're just royally status.